What's up, everyone? My name is Walt, and if you are a day one listener, welcome back. And if you're a first time listener, welcome to the show. This is BossLocks, where we are redefining professionalism, highlighting black leaders with natural hair, and ultimately leading the world to new growth. My whole goal with this is to create a more equitable world. And you joining me today is just the next step towards that movement, towards that new reality. Now, I wanted to record this episode today just to share that I'm gonna be gone for a while, but not really. It's kind of interesting. Like I've been saying a lot that I decided I'm gonna slow down so I could speed back up. But the thing is that I've already been going very, very quickly. I'm not even a year into being a published uh podcaster, and I already have two additional shows that I'm producing, and for whatever reason, I just can't stop myself. And I really want to shout out the people in my circle that are close to me, just to kind of help me get to this realization that, yeah, okay, right now I actually am doing a lot. I think that the final realization came when I was sharing, oh, yeah, these are things they're working on. And they're like, yo, you're doing a lot. And I was like, I mean, this seems kind of, I feel like I'm not doing enough. But it's kind of crazy. I think that oftentimes we feel as though we are not doing enough. I've been talking about imposter syndrome a little bit on this podcast, but mostly outside and other platforms like Clubhouse, the Working While Black Facebook group. And I'm starting to realize that sometimes we do extra things just to prove to ourselves in the world that we are enough, but we really don't need to do any of these extra things. Like we don't have to produce these extra shows. We don't have to stay at work 5 hours later than everyone else, which I have done, and it was a miserable, miserable experience. And here's the thing. I've decided that everything that I do, I want to enjoy it. And I do enjoy doing this podcast, and I enjoy doing everything else I'm working on as well. But I'm not at the point where I could be Joe Budden or Charlemagne the God out here having five different shows every day, all day. So here's what I decided. I'm going to slow down so I can speed back up, but it's going to look a little different. You see, full transparency, I have 10 recorded episodes that they're perfect. They're amazing. I've spoken to such amazing people. And they're just sitting there ready to go out, but they need a little bit more work editing, adding a few things to them. So I'm going to spend the next few weeks working on those, getting them to not perfection, but to beauty. I'll say that, because what is perfection really? But getting them to the beautiful moment where I'm like, okay, it's ready to go out into the world. Um, and but while I do that, um this these next 4, 5, 6 weeks are going to be insane. You see, I have 12 scheduled interviews coming up for this podcast with some more incredible people. Like, I really can't believe I'm going to be speaking to some of these creatives, leaders, change makers. Oh my goodness! So it's going to be incredible. I say I'm definitely blessed to have been able to speak to so many wonderful people from all around the world. Um, as an example, yesterday, I think yesterday, yeah, yesterday, I spoke with a lady in South Africa who is basically the face of a peaceful nuclear energy movement, and just talking to her about what it's like being a black woman in the nuclear industry is crazy. But I don't want to give too much away. It's coming at some point, but I think this podcast, I'm gonna return to it mid March. But I do definitely want to stress that just because I'm slowing down doesn't mean you're not going to see me. Like I say, I can't stop, and that's just because I really enjoy doing all of this. So today, February 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I'm actually doing another political maturation event, and this one is all about holding cops accountable. And I actually have BJ joining me, BJ from just a few episodes ago, just to share more of the how, some call to actions on how to hold cops accountable and what it actually means to have a police officer as an ally. But I also have another person with me, another powerhouse, Christine Edwards, and she's actually helped. She worked with the city of Asheville to basically take almost $1 million from the police budget and reinvested into other programs that the city of Asheville ran. And I'm really excited to speak to her as well because we talk about defunding the police, and this is an example of what it could look like. So it's going to be an amazing show tonight at 7 p.m. In addition to that, I know this sounds like a like ads, basically like promo time, but I just think of y'all as just part of the community. I have the private Boss Locks Village Patreon place, and that's like the official way to support the show directly and find out about new things. But this you listening right here, that makes you part of the Boss Locks Village, and I like to share things with my people. So I'm just sharing more and more. Matter of fact, next Friday you'll see a private interview I did with Nor Collective. Spoiler alert, it is my mom and sibling who joined me just to talk about Buy Black Friday, and that will be premiered next week, Friday. Not sure the time just yet. Not sure the time just yet. It may be noon or maybe in the evening. Still deciding, just some more transparency. Um, so those are some things that you can still catch me on tonight. Political maturation next week Friday. But in addition to that, I'm starting to speak to other people too. If you're in the Boss Lots Village Patreon community, you'll see a bonus content, a sit down I had with Blake from the Black Podcast Club. He is an incredible creative, someone I look up to as far as like how to be and exist as a creative. But he interviewed me on his IG live, and I took that recording, put it in the Patreon community. I also had a really incredible time recently on another podcast called the Bare Feet Podcast. The Bare Feet Podcast is hosted by Manor Shakir, and man, she is an incredible host. But it's interesting. It's like it was a 15 20 minute interview, something like that. And that was actually really challenging because I'm out here speaking for like hours, sometimes 2 hours. By the way, I have a 3 hour interview for y'all. I'm trying to figure out how best to release it. I might go Joe Rogan style and do the whole thing, but I might cut it down and give you part one through three. Still deciding on that. But if you're in the Patreon community, Boss Locks Village, you can help me decide how you want to see it. Now, but anyways, the Bare Feet podcast was really, really cool. The host, is working with several people in the UK, and she actually discovered me, not even for the podcasting, but a written piece that I wrote for Macalonga's company. I wrote for them. Shout out to you, Faye, for putting that together. But I wrote a piece and they shared it on their site, and I really enjoyed it. I shared it on social media. A lot of people um, had great feedback on it, but she found me because of that and reached out through Instagram. And then just a few weeks later, boom, I was on her show, and it was so cool, man. She has a really cool show. So when it's out this Thursday, I'll be sure to share it on social media. So you'll follow me there, you'll see it. And I guess I'll also put out an email announcement just so you have access to it there as well. Um, some more things coming up. Um, you know, I think I'll have to shout out Steve Worthy for this, but I've just been thinking a lot about what's important now. That's an acronym, WIN, WIN, what's important now, because it's easy to get distracted out here. There's a lot. I always say, there's a lot of ways to get it, a million ways to get it, and they all look wonderful. They all work, but they're not always all appropriate for where you are now. I've been contemplating a lot about it. I've been learning more about myself and how I work and the things I truly want. And it's always the same, I really want to make it safe for black people to exist. Not just black people, but everyone. And I'm doing that through this channel here, talking about natural hair and highlighting black leaders in these professional environments because when I was younger, that was not seen. I grew up in a very white environment, and which is fine, but the problem is that while you don't see a lot of black people in power, other people don't see a lot of black people in the power either. So it just continues these false perspectives of what black people can and can't do. So excuse that noise. That's my phone dropping. I don't need it for this. This is unscripted. But I'm sharing that because just as a reminder, both to myself and just to continue, just to reiterate the purpose of this. This is to make sure that no one can ever say that Black people can't do this or that, so that the CEOs of companies like Wells Fargo's can't be like, hey, yeah, we just can't find Black talent. That's crazy. You can't find Black talent because you haven't created an environment where Black talent wants to be there. And sometimes it just takes a little work to find people that are the best quality, who are the best for the job, best for your company. You shouldn't just hire anyone. But anyways, I could go off on a tangent, talk forever. This is supposed to be like a 3 minute mini thing announcing a few things, but I just love this stuff. So, what's important now to me is to continue the work to reach the world, just to have this show heard by more and more people, to go on other shows, just to spread the message, because this isn't just about building the brand. Don't get me wrong, I definitely want this to be up there with the Revolts, Rock Nations, the Viacoms, that's MTV and BET for y'all. But what's important now is really to build a community, build a support system, to empower people, provide resources, and to let people know, yeah, we're building right now. So, what's important now for me is to build community, continue the work I'm doing, reach the world, and just stay true to what I want to do. I'm starting to give myself these 90-day marks, to just well, I'll share more on that later. I'll share once I hit the 90-day marks, but just know in 90 days you'll see. I'll return for another one of these. Now, now, I think the last thing I want to share is another place to just to just to listen, some more content to experience. Like I said, I'm slowing down so I can speed up, but I'm not leaving y'all out, man. I would still want y'all to enjoy learning more and experiencing just everything that I've done. There's a podcast called The Labors of Love, and that was, oh, man, I really loved that show. It's a really cool show by Lashonda, and she is basically, her whole platform is about mental health, trauma, and relationships, and she uses her show to speak to people, to learn about what their labor of love is, and explores how they impact um, their communities and really just the world at large, because everything has a ripple effect. Now, I got on her episode, or her show, last year, and man, it was so cool. So I don't want to spoil it. I'm very big on not spoiling things. I don't like spoilers, but I will say that going on her show is a prime example of what like a good host could be like. 'Cause I learned something about myself while on the show. It's interesting. You go places just to promote, to share, to provide value, and sometimes when you're in a really healthy environment, you end up learning more about yourself. The same thing happened on Steve Worthy's podcast. I think the Bare Feet podcast is a good example of that, but I really want to share this one. The Labors of Love podcast. It was episode 47, titled "Boss Locks Working While Black." Um, it's on all the platforms, and I'll make sure there's a link in the description for this. But definitely want to share that. Definitely recommend you checking it out while I'm gone, till March. Gone with quotation marks, because you'll see me tonight on Facebook and YouTube Live, the Political Maturation at 7 p.m. You'll be able to hear my mini interview with the Bare Feet podcast this Thursday, I believe. Next week, Friday, you'll see me once again, Facebook and YouTube by Black Friday, speaking to my family members. Oh, and for those of y'all, there's a new movie out, Judas and the Black Messiah. Um, I'm thinking about watching that this weekend, and if I do, I'm gonna record a review on that, and release it on the Patreon group as bonus content. I may publicize it to the world, but I know for sure it's gonna be there. So if you're not in the group already, join the Boss Locks Village Patreon community space for bonus content and to find out what's happening before everyone else. I can keep going, and I really want to because I enjoy this, but that's all for now, man. I just really want to say, once again, thank you for joining me on this journey. There's this is a road that hasn't been built yet. Obviously, podcasts exist, and there's a way to do it. But what I'm doing, not that it's any You know what? I'm gonna stop saying that. I'm gonna stop saying like, oh, it's not that it's any different from others. No, this is a very different show from others because I'm on it. And this isn't like an ego thing, but I think that we really have to start realizing that we all bring something unique to the table, and what I bring, no one else can bring, because no one else has lived the exact same life as me. Is whether that makes it a good thing or a not so great thing. I'll let y'all be the judge. But um, yes, the point I'm saying is thank you for joining me, thank you for listening. And I'm really excited to just share more about what's going on. I don't want to give it all away. I'm very big on don't just say it, show it. So once I have something to show, I'll definitely say it, and y'all will definitely be the first to know. Besides the Patreon group, who will really, really be the first to know. But yeah, thank you all. I'm gonna stop here before this turns into a 5-hour solo podcast. Got some things to work on, and I will talk to y'all soon. Thank you for joining me today.
I just want money in the bank. Have no time for them. We just pray and say amen. Been here, boys, since way back when. I just want money in the bank. I don't want no problem. Family know, yeah, they know I got them. Just want lazy in my wallet. Just want money in the bank.